So you would be okay with the Supreme Court leaving the question of interracial marriage to the states?
Yes, I think that that's something that if you're not wanting the Supreme Court to weigh in on issues like that, you're not going to be able to have your cake and eat it too. I think that's hypocritical.
It's hypocritical, according to Mike Braun there of Indiana, that senator. He was talking about how maybe if the states want to do it, because that's all this will do. We pointed this out yesterday with this overturning of Roe v. Wade. It hands the power back to states, which we've already got 13 of them or so that are already prepared and have legislation prepared to come into law as soon as something like this would happen that would ban abortions at any level, no exceptions in some of these states. And someone like Mike Braun who says, yeah, sure, give power back to the states to decide things like interracial marriage as well. So maybe our black Republican there who's running for Congress or whatever he's running for might not be too happy with his party once that happens. Now, really fast, Adrian, because there's a little bit more proof behind this leaked opinion that Justice Alito wrote. Part of my opinion, written by Justice Samuel Alito, explicitly references Obergefell versus Hodges, the landmark decision to legalize same-sex marriage, in Lawrence versus Texas, a decision that legalized sodomy. In the leaked opinion, Alito says these decisions do not protect rights that are, quote, deeply rooted in history. These attempts to justify abortion through appeals, though appeals to a broader right to autonomy and to define one's concept of existence, prove too much, is what he wrote, claiming that the right to autonomy could license fundamental rights to illicit drug use, prostitution, and the like. It can spread further, and people have talked about this because there's some legal precedent, there's a legal approach to this that they could take this to the next level in many states, in whatever state they feel like it, Adrian.
Yeah, because the reality is that if we return those rights to states, so to speak, in terms of states being able to dictate what private actions individuals engage in are lawful and unlawful when we're talking about consenting adults, then what we're gonna have is a completely ununiform legal system throughout the United States when it comes to individuals' privacy rights. That means if two men decide to have sex in Texas, as it was those decades ago, then they can be arrested and they can be prosecuted for it, because of how Texas laws are structured. And so by having this uniform national understanding of what our constitutional protections are, which is what the Supreme Court holds hands down, that's something that ensures that each of our individual rights are going to be preserved, and also that we're going to be respected when it comes to bodily autonomy and decisions that we make as consenting adults. And taking that away from individuals by attacking these opinions, that tells you where Alito is going when it comes to LGBTQ plus rights, and that he wants us to regress as a society and allow states to condemn this quote unquote behavior, quote unquote lifestyle, and all these other conservative outlooks that really reflect homophobia, transphobia, and phobia of anything that's not white, Christian, male, cis, and hetero.
Can I ask you, Adrian, just maybe put on your prediction hat, and you don't have to be held to this prediction or thought. Is there any percentage of what many folks who are looking to protect women's rights in the country, is there a 1% level of overreaction to this? Is it overreacting to say they're gonna come for gay marriage next, interracial marriage, contraception, things like that?
No, it's not an overreaction at all. We already just said whatever years ago, oh, this is a setup because they're going to attack Roe v. Wade. There's a reason that when the Senate questions and interrogates potential Supreme Court justices, they ask about these cases because they know there's still somewhat of a divide in our nation, even if it's in this case with abortion, 70% of people thinking that abortion should be accessible as opposed to that 30% that's small and narrow. There's still that divide there. And when we have Christian, evangelical, cis, white, hetero individuals calling the shots and in positions of power, they're gonna try to seat people up in the Supreme Court who will create avenues to reverse the precedent and completely unearth everything that has been established in our country that moves us forward. We are moving backward, and we will continue to move backward to meet this agenda. And we have to stop it now, otherwise there's gonna be no turning back.